corporate credit cards swiped for personal shopping. The company chauffeur assigned to ferry his wife's personal aid around town. Vehicles registered under affiliate company names, paid for with shareholders' money. South Korea's Supreme Court just said, that is embezzlement. And they sent the chairman of one of the world's biggest tire empires to prison for it. His name is Hyun-bum. His company is Hankook and Company, the holding group behind Hankook Tire, the South Korean conglomerate that makes tires for BMW, Mercedes, Ford, and over half the car brands you see on the road. Hankook is not a garage startup. It is a multi-billion-dollar publicly listed corporation with minority shareholders who trusted the man at the top to run it like a business, not a personal expense account. He did not do that. Court documents show that Cho used the company's corporate cards to fund his own personal spending. He had the company's chauffeur driving his wife's aide around for personal errands, the bill going to the company, not his own pocket. And when he wanted vehicles, some were purchased under the names of affiliate companies, not his own accounts, so the tab stayed off his personal ledger. Prosecutors originally alleged the misappropriation could reach as high as 20 billion Korean won. The courts confirmed a breach of trust and embezzlement conviction. South Korea's Supreme Court upheld the sentence in May 2026, 2 years in prison. Not suspended. Not a fine. Not a slap on the wrist and a promise to return the money. Prison. Now here is what makes this story bigger than just one man's expense account. Hankook and Company sits inside a corporate structure that is the default architecture of South Korean big business, the Chaebol. Chaebol are family-controlled conglomerates where a founding dynasty holds the group's apex company, which then controls dozens of subsidiaries through cascading cross-ownership. The founding family controls the whole group with a relatively small direct stake, because the real power runs through the structure, not the share count. Minority shareholders exist inside this system and have extremely limited ability to push back against what the controlling family decides to do. This is not a flaw that was overlooked. It is how the system was built, and for decades South Korean courts showed remarkable reluctance to actually jail Chaebol bosses. The pattern looked like this: investigate, indict, convict, then suspend the sentence because jailing the chairman of a major conglomerate might disrupt the economy. Samsung's Lee Jae-yong was convicted of bribery in a case tied to the national political scandal that brought down a president, and was eventually pardoned. Lotte's Shin Dong-bin was convicted and got a suspended sentence. Hanwha's Kim Sung-yoon served some time, but the broader pattern held. Actual prison for the man at the top was rare. Cho Hyun-bum is now one of the exceptions. South Korea's Supreme Court looked at the expense account trail, the chauffeur records, the vehicle registrations, and said the conviction stands. The sentence stands. He goes. What this case strips bare is the moral architecture of the Chaebol model. A publicly listed company has shareholders. Those shareholders own a piece of the business. When the chairman uses the company credit card for personal shopping, he is not just bending a rule, he is reaching into shareholders' pockets and taking. The company absorbs costs that should have been personal. The shareholders' returns shrink by exactly that amount. It is a slow, quiet transfer of wealth from the many to the one man with the title. The corporate card is the lowest tech version of this. Chaebol misappropriation cases typically involve far more sophisticated structures, fake consulting contracts, intercompany loans that never get repaid, R&D agreements that fund nothing, affiliated companies that exist mainly to build a listed subsidiary for services that were never rendered. What made this case almost insulting is how plain it was. He used the company card. He put the driver on the company bill. He titled vehicles to affiliates. Nobody bothered to make it complicated, because for a very long time, nobody expected consequences. The Supreme Court's affirmation in May 2026 is not a revolution. It is one conviction in a system that has let far larger abuses go unpunished for decades. But it matters, because the logic is now locked into precedent. Using a public company's resources for personal benefit, even at the level of a credit card and a chauffeur, is a crime that carries a real sentence. The company is not your wallet. The shareholders are not your staff. And the top court of South Korea has now said so, clearly, on the record. If you run a company and treat it like a personal piggy bank, the era of the suspended sentence might, slowly, be ending. This is commentary and opinion, for educational purposes. This is Unfiltered Reality. Subscribe for the stories hidden in plain sight.